Hello and welcome to another episode of Totally Football Transfers. Let's jump in with the big news today that Neymar is reported to be interesting various teams in the Saudi League. I hear you say, who isn't interesting teams in the Saudi League this summer? But this one might actually have some legs, given that Neymar has been unhappy in Paris for some time, yet can't really engineer a move to too many places because of his salary demands. Whilst this wouldn't be a huge problem if he were willing to move to Saudi Arabia, and it would also be another high-profile name, perhaps even more high-profile than many of the other names, even Cristiano Ronaldo, given Neymar's age, if the Saudi League could attract such a player in what is still arguably the peak of his career. Some of the other news we're going to talk about today, or some of the other rumours I should say, are a little bit sketchy, but I'll talk about them as we go, and I'll explain why. Federico Chiesa is reported to be interesting Liverpool. Now, he's excellent young player, had lots of injuries over the last season or so, but there are reports that Liverpool might be interested in making a purchase for around 35 million, which if that's true, and they can keep him fit, he would be an absolute bargain, but I can't see this rumour being true. I'm pretty sure he was purchased for around 70 million euros just 18 months or so ago by Juventus, and yes, he has had lots of injuries, but you're not going to spend £35 million on a player who is not going to play. So I know Liverpool have got some form. They've just sold Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, or released Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain I should say, but we shall see with that one. Personally, I don't think that one's particularly likely, but who knows. In another slightly lazy, arguably, transfer rumour, João Cancelo is reported to be interesting Arsenal. There's no doubt that they are interested in a right back, and he is also an exceptionally good player. But again, it does seem that every player that's looking to move from Manchester City is being linked almost always with Arsenal. We shall see on that one. There is a fairly good chance that this one might go ahead. Arsenal do need a new right back. Cancelo does fit their profile of a player. They have been linked with younger players in that role recently, but we shall see. If the price is right, I think it could be a good move for everybody. Sticking with Spanish football, not that Cancelo is Spanish, he's Portuguese actually, but sticking with that region more broadly, Torres is being touted around for a move away from Barcelona as they try to meet their financial fair play obligations. They obviously have a lot of young attacking wingers and an excess of players in that position. Why they bought Torres for the money that they bought him for a couple of seasons ago, who knows, but they did. Aston Villa are looking at one option for Torres. Again, I think that would be a reasonably good move for him. He's a decent player. Perhaps Villa is his level, certainly Villa at the moment in terms of the Europa League. Other news related to Manchester City, obviously Ferran Torres, former Manchester City player, Bernardo Silva has been touted around for some time. Manchester City have a policy of not keeping players who are unhappy. Silva has been one of their standout performers for a very long time, but has made no secret of his desire to move to another country. Paris Saint-Germain are interested. They are obviously needing reinforcements with the likes of Messi leaving. We'll talk about some of the other options that they are looking at. Whether Paris is that dissimilar to Manchester in terms of weather and lifestyle and things, I think possibly, but it's not like, I should imagine Bernardo Silva speaks fluent French if he is struggling with that aspect of life as well, so who knows. Some of the other names that are being linked with PSG this summer, Wilf Zaha from Crystal Palace and Marcus Thuram, both free agents, both again fitting the profile of players that PSG are looking for to supplement Mbappe on the wings. It would be a huge step, I think, for either of those players from the clubs that they've come from to go under that environment, but on free transfers with little to no expectations, who knows? I think both players could surprise and become fan favourites pretty quickly. On to Spurs. They have been heavily linked with David Raya from Brentford for the last few weeks. reports are suggesting that personal terms have now been agreed, and the last stumbling block is that Spurs don't want to pay the £40 million asking price. Shock horror, I can hear you gasp already that Daniel Levy doesn't want to pay full price for a player. Brentford, I'm sure there will be a deal done, but they're not pushovers by any stretch of the imagination in terms of their transfer dealings. So hopefully there can be a solution to that impasse shortly. Two last stories then, both referring to goalkeepers. Chelsea apparently want Onana from Inter Milan to add to their plethora of goalkeepers. Whether he wants them back, given the lack of European football next season, seems to be the main stumbling block, and the player himself, after the Champions League final, came out and said that actually he's very happy there and has no plans to move. Chelsea, however, have a number of players that they would like to offload potentially to Inter, in terms of Romelu Lukaku and Koulibaly. We shall see. It would be an interesting move if they can shift two older players on high salaries for Onana. I can't see it happening. Last one, again, slightly lazy transfer, but who knows? Bart Verbruggen from Anderlecht is being linked with Burnley, who are reported to be looking for a goalkeeper. Again, Vincent Kompany having his association so strongly with Anderlecht means that we see these rumours for Anderlecht players pretty frequently. And honestly, you could just often say that a club needs a specific player, it seems, like Arsenal, like Burnley, and we just automatically associate Manchester City and Anderlecht players to fill that role. But who knows? Prove me wrong here, Burnley. That's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please like, subscribe, follow, share, whatever it is that you're doing. We post these out through both Spotify, Apple, various different podcast channels, as well as on YouTube. So there's not really a one-size-fits-all way of describing this, but you get the idea. Follow along so you get the latest news from us every single day. Thanks.